Kids can type on tiny keyboards, convey their thoughts in 140 characters or less on Twitter, but there's a fear that they won't be able to sign their own names. In this digital age, less and less students are learning to write in cursive. So should it still be taught, or is it time to make it history? Joining me now to talk more about that, share their thoughts, our educational consultant, Ibrahim Firat, dad blogger John Pacini. Good morning to you, as well as business author Dana Still. I'm glad you're here to talk about this because it seems to be a growing problem. Yep. I want to know your thoughts about it. Do you think it needs to be a thing of the past? Because I feel like it needs to be here.
It needs to be here, in my opinion, as well. Because, I mean, we've seen studies have shown that those students who can write in cursive can read in cursive, and therefore can connect better with their past. And not only that, but they become better creative writers, and they may even become artists. There's a connection with that. So I believe strongly that it should be kept.
Besides the fact that, is there anything better than getting a letter in the mail that's handwritten? I mean, it's fantastic, and people aren't going to take the time to actually handwrite things out. Let's talk about your kids. Tell us how old they are and if they write in cursive.
So both of my children write in cursive. They learned that principally, and when I look at this, I haven't written in cursive in 20 years, and if I did, it would probably look like a ransom note. But the reality is, that it's a great baseline skill that kids have to have.
Right.
And that's just being, I mean, we talk about it, the lost art of cursive writing in schools. We've also lost art in schools and music and gym class and a lot of other things.
On the other hand, Dana, your kids are probably more like most children out there today, and then they don't write in cursive.
No, they're 14 and 18. I think we have a graphic. I had them sign their names yesterday, and they really can't. There it is. There it is. That's how they sign their name. Charles is Dak's legal name, and he didn't know how to write Charles last night. I had to show him. Nick didn't know how to write Justice. Nick is 14. Dak is 18. But with that said, neither one of them can really write or read cursive. However, they're both extremely brilliant. Both of them are starting college. Dak is a stage manager and an incredible writer. So my thoughts are, I got crazy a couple years ago when I found I was contacting the principal and I was calling the school board and I was not happy and I couldn't get any traction. And now I've kind of switched. I would rather the schools spend so much more time on science and math, and they're not.
Yeah. What do you feel when you hear these things? That, I mean, it sounds like we definitely have two views, that it's okay and then that we really need it.
I think we're talking about stages of educational development here, because what we're proposing in keeping cursive writing is the fact that we need to teach them cursive writing by the third grade. It's because they've learned the basics of reading and writing by that time. And if they learn that skill for 6 to 9 months, that's it. They'll be able to keep that for the rest of their lives.
Okay, I'm not being rude, but I wanted to bring up something that somebody had put on my Facebook page. Even though I'm on the other side, this was pretty brilliant. Those who cannot read the original documents will be subject to the translations of those who can.
Oh, that's good. It's almost like a different language for people who cannot read it. Okay, so this is a question I want to pose to you, because some states are actually, people are coming forward and they're actually starting to put legislature into place, trying to make schools definitely teach it. Do you feel like if, let's say that doesn't happen here and we stop teaching it, that parents should take the time to teach their kids?
So first of all, Texas is not Common Core. Therefore, we are still teaching cursive writing, and teachers are given the autonomy to teach cursive writing.
At least some schools aren't, though.
Some schools are not. So I would say that Texas and the parents at home should be still teaching their kids.
But it shouldn't be a law. I mean, don't we have more important things to worry about? If we're going to start mandating laws in schools, let's mandate that we spend more money on science centers than stadiums.
That's exactly why teachers having the autonomy to do this would be...
And parents have to pick up that slack in a lot of areas.
Well, we asked some people on Twitter this morning to talk to us and tell us what they feel, and I want to share a few of these comments, and I'm going to start with Kevin. And Kevin says, cursive writing is still needed since you have to actually sign documents today in 21st century America. Dana, you know that feeling.
Oh, wait, have you seen John's signature? You can't read it. You can't read mine.
All right, here we go from Dan. Dan says, my son thinks cursive handwriting is using bad words in sentences. That was pretty brilliant. I thought he said his son is 7 years old. And then Jorge says, I guess there will be no such thing as a signature soon. Getting a signature from a star athlete will look all the same. This certainly would make sense. And then Melissa says, yes, it does. My 13-year-old can't even read cursive. Never been taught. because of keyboarding, but cursive is still widely used. And she was saying, yes, we need to still teach them. And finally, this is an interesting one because it comes from Sippin' on Dior. Says, I can't write cursive, don't judge me. She put a few little teardrops on there. We're not judging at all because it's becoming everyday deal.
There's so many baseline skills that none of us use anymore, but that are critical that we learned when we were young. So I think this goes into that category, and I think it's a critical piece of their educational background.
Well, I'm glad you took the time to talk to us about it because I tell you what, this is an interesting subject that has a lot of people fired up about it. And it seems like most people want the old school way, so we'll see what happens.
I can't read my own handwriting. I literally scan my grocery list and send it to my old general manager, Tanya. She's the only one who can read it. And I'll say, what is the third item I need?
I have to admit, I scratch my head a few times when I read my to-do list. So
well, I have students who come to me and say, can you please read the handwriting of my teacher? I don't understand what comments he put on my paper.
I love it. Hey, Tom, how about you? Are we going to be able to read your handwriting?